And we're back talking about immigration reform here on 2nd Street. My next guests have been following this issue quite closely. Candice Malcolm previously worked in immigration at the federal level, and she follows the issue closely with the news site that she founded, True North. And my second guest is Aaron Wudrick. He's the Director of Domestic Policy at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. Thank you both for joining me today to talk about this important issue. Aaron, I'll start with you. When it comes to immigration in Canada, what do you think would be where we should be at right now in terms of the number of people that we're welcoming into the country? We're at about 500,000 people that are coming in as immigrants, and then we also allowed a lot of people through student visas as well. So what do you think the magic number is, if anything?
It's hard to land on a specific number, but I think less is the watchword here, Colin. In particular, on the student stream, that has been a giant loophole, right? I mean, on paper, we have an immigration policy that has a sort of ballpark number. That student loophole has just ballooned in recent years, and that has thrown all the estimates off. And that's important because for things like housing, it doesn't really matter the category under which people come here. It just inflates the overall demand. So I think getting that number in control, the federal government is belatedly doing that. But long story short, it needs to be less. And I would say in the short term, it needs to be significantly less until at least the housing situation is brought under control.
Candice, I'll throw the same question to you. What do you think we need to do in terms of changes? Is it, as Aaron said, is it a significant change? Is it a minor change? What are your thoughts on
Well, just to frame the conversation a little differently, Colin. So you're saying that 500,000 people are coming to Canada. Aaron's saying it needs to be less. Okay, I was crunching the numbers a few minutes before the episode started, and let me just say, Canada brings in 500,000 permanent residents. On top of that, we have another 900,000 students coming into the country. On top of that, we have another 600,000 temporary foreign workers coming into the country, and on top of that, we have another 140,000 asylum seekers, illegal immigrants who have come to this country illegally under false pretenses and are now trying to be refugees. So when you add that all together, you're looking at something in the order of 2.2 million people approximately coming to Canada every year. It is an absolute like 5-alarm fire. I think that Canada's immigration system is so poorly managed under the Trudeau government. We're talking about 10x the numbers of the Harper government. And some people would argue that things were getting too high under that period. So I think Canada needs to do a total overhaul. We have to reconsider all of these various streams because it's not working. We're saying that we're bringing people in to help boost the economy. We still have labor shortages in construction, which is why we don't have enough houses being built. And then we have people lining up at job fairs to take minimum wage jobs at places like McDonald's and Walmart. That's not a well-managed immigration system. Canada is absolutely throwing away its natural advantages when it comes to immigration, and Trudeau has just lost control of the system.
So how do we manage this challenge that we're in? Because as a country, we have a low birth rate, and we do need a healthy number of people that are working relative to those who are retired. And so this is one of the main reasons why we've been had a lot of immigration in the past, is that we do need to make sure that we have that strong base that we weren't creating through natural childbirth. But at the same time, as both of you have pointed out, we have this problem where we don't have enough things like housing. People have raised concerns about enough spaces in education, pressures that are being put on the healthcare system and so forth. So how do we manage that better so that we have those sort of social supports available that can actually accommodate the immigrants that we actually need in the country? Aaron, I'll throw that question to you.
Yeah, well, I think to Candice's point, the government's lost control of the system, and they don't even, we need to rethink the criteria under which we let people in. So, for example, if we have a mismatch, we're just letting in sheer numbers, but we're not filling the roles in areas where we have shortages. That suggests a mismatch. The same applies to the student situation. The reason we have so many of these students is because colleges and universities see them as cash cows. There's no other sort of compelling reason for it other than these universities and colleges and what some are calling these strip mall outfits, private colleges. They just see these students as cash cows. They're just trying to make money off of them. So when you sweep all that away and you build an immigration system that serves the needs of Canadians and Canada first, I think that's how you get closer to making sure that you match the supply and demand properly.
Candice, we'll come back to this question, but was there one single point that happened that caused us to kind of go off the rails?
Well, I would say that Justin Trudeau has had a horrendous economic policy, and he's trying to cover it by artificially boosting GDP by bringing in lots of immigrants, because it makes it seem like the GDP is growing when actually, if you remove the new immigrants, it's declining. So I think we have a combination of a prime minister that's sort of pandering, trying to bring in as many people as he can to boost the Liberal voting base, and also trying to cover up his ruinous economic policies. I think that Canada should focus more attention on boosting its own natural birth rate. I think that there's a lot of people in Canada who want to have kids, a lot of mothers who want to be mothers.
Quick commercial break. We'll come back with that in just a second.